The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
WickedWeedBrewing.com. Drink different. I'm Jeremy Greene of ESPN Radio. This is Tommy Bradley, and this is the NFC North 2021 win-loss projection videos. I look at this division as there is one great big caveat to everything we're getting ready to say. And that's that Aaron Rodgers has to be the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, or everything we're getting ready to say doesn't mean shit. And I think he will be. I see no path that Aaron Rodgers finds his way out of Green Bay. I don't see him hanging it up. He's too competitive for that. And I think they're clearly the best, the class of the NFC North. Do you agree with me, Tommy?
I do. I think he's just playing a little bit of hardball to get what he wants. Everyone, when you get a little bit of leverage, what do? You try to turn that leverage into getting what you want. Can't blame the man. Gutekunst, you better pay that man if you want to stay the class of the division for the next 3 to 5 years.
I agree. And that's a great place to start with the Green Bay Packers. Welcome into the Wicked Weed Studios, WickedWeedBrewing.com. Drink different. I'm Jeremy Greene of ESPN Radio. This is Tommy Bradley, and this is the Green Bay Packers 2021 win-loss projection. I look at Green Bay, and there's just no chance to me they don't win this division. I don't think there's a chance Aaron Rodgers gets out of town. I think they're clearly the best team in this division. I don't care about Justin Fields. I think Minnesota is improved, but not that much, and the Detroit Lions are willfully trying to lose. Tommy, do you agree with most of what I just said?
I do. The Packers have been the class of the division. As long as they make sure they take care of Aaron Rodgers, they're going to continue to be the class of the division. He is a bad man, like Stephen A. says. I think Gutekunst needs to quit doing all the games. In the first round, picking up Eric Stokes after trading up to get Jordan Love last year. I think he needs to take a page out of Uncle Drew's book and just don't reach, young blood. I think he reached a little much for Eric Stokes in the first.
I agree. I didn't necessarily love their draft, but I do love this team. I love the way it's built. And then they got this. I don't see a snowball's chance in Atlanta that they don't open with 5 of 6 wins. I would say they're sitting at 5-1 before they have to go into the stretch of the schedule that starts with Washington, the Cardinals, and the Chiefs. They play the Saints, that's a win. I don't care if it's in New Orleans, I don't care if it's in Green Bay, I don't care if they played on the fucking moon. That's a win. The Lions at the 49ers is the one loss I have them taking. The Steelers in Green Bay, at Cincinnati, at the Bears. Those are all wins.
I completely agree, and I got some heat, for having Green Bay as far as I did in the playoffs. But look, I think, everyone says the thing that's going to hold them back this year is the drama around Aaron Rodgers. I don't see any more drama this year than last year when they traded up and gave draft capital to not help Aaron Rodgers, but to draft his replacement. I think those are worse conditions to play under than what he's going to deal with this year. And I think he's going to be a man on a mission. He's going to show Green Bay and the rest of the league, I'm not done anytime soon. I had an MVP type year last year, and I can keep doing that. I'm getting better. If you watched him last year, if you watched every game the Packers played, it was poetry. Like, he could sit back there behind the line and know exactly what a defense was going to do before they did it. And he knew what matchup to get into. It didn't matter which receiver was healthy. He got them in a position to win every game, and he's going to do the same this year.
I agree. I think you're going to see another year of fuck you, Aaron Rodgers. And this is going to be one where it's fuck everybody.
Yeah.
I'm here to prove a point. I think you will see another year of MVP level Aaron Rodgers. Looking at Tommy's projection for how the NFL season goes this year, he has Green Bay in the NFC Championship game again against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I do. And I've had it, a lot of people said, I don't have them going that far. I don't see them getting past Washington, and I get it. I mean, there's a lot of good teams in the NFC this year. But I just trust him. He's got a track record of getting there. He doesn't necessarily have the best track record in games to get to the Super Bowl. He often fizzles out in the playoffs, but it's not really on him. It's on his team. It's not like he's having terrible games out there. They don't often give him the right weapons, the right defense, and they continually draft after draft, show him that, they're more worried about the long term than helping him win a ring immediately. And I like some of the pieces they brought in. They got a couple linemen that I like this year in the draft. I think Amari Rodgers is going to kill it in the slot, Clemson guy. And I just really believe in Aaron Rodgers, especially when he's on a mission like he's going to be this year, especially after watching last year when I just saw him get better and better, seem even more calm than normal back there. Him and Shailene Woodley are doing some new yoga techniques or something where he just looks like he's floating out there on the field and has not a care in the world. I think he's going to be out to prove something this year, and I can see them getting all the way to the NFC Championship.
I'm not quite as rosy because they run into the LA Rams in the playoffs. I do think with Matthew Stafford can lead this team to a win in Green Bay. And it's not that I don't believe in Green Bay. I just look at them and I like Washington better. I like two teams in the NFC West better, and I like the Rams better. I think this is a no-doubt playoff team. They're going to get another home playoff game. And like I said, I see no resolution of the Aaron Rodgers thing coming anytime soon, but I don't see it floating into the regular season. I mean, is he going to be pissed off? Absolutely. Has that seemed to work nicely for the Packers in the past? Absolutely.
Yeah.
To me, they win this division by 4 games. I think they have this thing sewn up by the going into December, and I wouldn't be shocked if you see a little resting at the end. I just don't necessarily think it's going to translate in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Could I be wrong? Absolutely been wrong before, but I see this as about the 5th best team in the NFC, maybe the 4th best team in the NFC. I don't think they can win the conference, but I think they will easily win the division.
I think where we differ is the matchup, because I understand what you're saying. If they end up against the Rams, that is the team that I can see being his kryptonite. Like, the reason I had them moving on was because they were against the Washington football team, who I love their defense, but their defense thrives on edge pressure, and I see Aaron Rodgers being able to step up in the pocket, deliver passes on time, find the right matchups, like I was saying before. But with the Rams, with Aaron Donald coming down the middle and disrupting things and disrupting that pocket from the middle, the same way you disrupt all great pocket quarterbacks like Tom Brady, like Aaron Rodgers. Even though Aaron Rodgers is a little more mobile, I can still see how that Rams matchup with Jalen Ramsey shutting down Devontae Adams and having Aaron Donald just disrupting the pocket the entire time, I can see how they get the Rams would get past them in the playoffs. Just personally, with the matchup that I ended up having with the Washington football team, I can see the Packers squeaking by them.
I disagree with nothing you just said. For Tommy Bradley, I'm Jeremy Greene. This has been the Sportsocracy's 2021 win-loss projection for the Green Bay Packers. Be sure to click the like and subscribe button to see every time we go live, including every weekday right here in the Wicked Weed Studios. As always, we're brought to you by Wicked Weed, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different.
Pay that man Guten Kunst.
Well, a soft transition from talking about the best team in the NFC North is to talk about, to me, clearly the second best team in the NFC North. And I believe we agree on this.
Yep.
And that is the Minnesota Vikings.
School.
Welcome into the Wicked Weed Studios, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. I'm Jeremy Greene of ESPN Radio, joined by Tommy Bradley to discuss the 2021 win projection for the Minnesota Vikings. I think this is clearly the second best team in the NFC North.
Yeah.
I don't care about Justin Fields. I look at with Matt Nagy and that whole situation, Ryan Pace, and then you got the Lions that are willfully trying to lose. I am as confident that Minnesota finishes second in this division as I am that Green Bay finishes first in this division.
I completely agree. I had, the Vikings squeaking out at 9-8. I wasn't really sure, going into it that I would end up with a positive record for the Vikings because, I'm not sure how much better they're going to get with Kirk Cousins. But I fully believe in a team that knows what they do and sticks to that. And the Vikings run the football well. And what did they do in the draft? They got Christian Darrisaw. They got Wyatt Davis from Ohio State. They improved that line, and they're going to ride on Dalvin Cook again. And as long as he's healthy and as long as he's running the way he has been the past year and a half after his injuries, I think they're going to be in every game. Mike Zimmer, always has a solid plan on defense, no matter who he's throwing out there. He's a really good evaluator on the corners. I love the Chaz Surratt pick from Carolina as a rangy linebacker in that system, doing some of what Anthony Barr and some of those guys have done in the past. So I see the Vikings, being right where they were, and they added some things to help them do well what they've always done well, and I see them being the second best team easily in this division.
The Minnesota Vikings had only the 4th A+ I have ever given in draft grading.
Wow.
I felt good about this team, but I wasn't sure exactly what their win-loss record would be until I saw this. I look at this team starting out the regular season against Cincinnati. You have a trip to Arizona that I think is going to be a little difficult. You've got the Browns and the Cowboys in the beginning of the schedule. I look at the Bengals, the Seahawks, the Lions, and the Panthers. I think those are 4 easy Minnesota wins, in my opinion. Even though the game against Carolina is in Carolina, I don't care. I look at Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and their ability to run the ball with Dalvin Cook. I think they're going to be sitting at about 4-3, heading into the Cowboys, Ravens, Chargers, Packers, 49ers stretch of the season.
That's a tough stretch.
And that is a very tough stretch. The part in the middle is very difficult. I like what they get on the front and back of the schedule.
Yeah.
And I think this is a team that can be better than people think. I think the defense is going to be better than what a lot of people believe it will be going into this season. And I just look at Minnesota as a team that I feel like people have forgotten about.
Yeah.
They're not – I think they're right on the backside of being playoff competitive. But a lot of people seem to be burying them like they're in the same area of the world as the Saints and the Giants. And they're just not. They're clearly better than those teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I said, they know what they do well, and that's what they're going to do. And the big game that, really was the turning game for me was the one you mentioned, the Carolina game in Carolina. That's what took me from them being an 8-9 team to a 9-8 team that gets into the playoffs and winning the tiebreaker with Carolina. And I think it's because, the Achilles heel for the Panthers has been their run defense. And what do the Vikings do well? They'll run it all over you. And I think the Panthers are trying to make some steps, with Denzel Perryman and Daquan Jones and some of these guys to help that run defense. But I don't know if 1 year you can turn it around from being the team that gets ran on for 200-plus yards and 3 touchdowns to being able to beat a team like Minnesota who knows what they do in that zone run scheme. And as long as Dalvin Cook is healthy, he can carry them to 9 wins easily. This is your projection for how the season goes. You actually have Minnesota in the playoffs as the last team to get in the NFC. They play Tampa Bay in the wild card round and are defeated there, but you do have them making the playoffs. Yeah. You also have them at 9-8, finishing in second in the NFC North, 5 games behind the Green Bay Packers. I have them at 8-9. They don't make the playoffs for me, but they're one of the first teams out. I think this would be a step in the right direction. Like I said, I don't necessarily think they're a playoff team at this point. I think there's too many difficult games on the schedule that they play teams that are just better than them. That being said, I think they're going to be a competitive team with Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson coming off a tremendous rookie year. And finally, we get to see Irv Smith do Irv Smithy things. I think this is a team that a year from now when Aaron Rodgers is playing elsewhere will be the class of the NFC North, and I think they will be for a few years because I think they're clearly ahead of the Lions, and to me, they're clearly ahead of the Bears. Question for you. Can they win an NFC championship with Kirk Cousins at quarterback?
No. But I think in a year or two, they're going to find the quarterback moving forward.
They drafted Kellen Mond in the 3rd.
Yeah, and I keep hearing how they believe in Kellen Mond. I don't, but you never know. I've been wrong before. It's just I'm very rarely wrong about mid-round quarterbacks.
His projections are all over the board. I've seen him being a bust.
I just never saw the wow from Kellen Mond.
Yeah.
There are people that do what I do that did. I just didn't.
A lot of what I heard about him was the system at Texas A&M.
It was a pro-level system, and I just never saw the wow from him in a pro system.
Yeah.
That's what makes me struggle to believe that he's going to go to the NFL and do those things. However, he will have Dalvin Cook in the backfield, Irv Smith at tight end, Adam Thielen in the slot, and Justin Jefferson out wide. I do feel pretty good about those weapons, and if he has the arm talent and the mental makeup, he could be the solution moving forward.
Completely agree. I just think you'd never want to see a team with a good defense and a good run game, and that's what they've got.
For Tommy Bradley, I'm Jeremy Greene. This has been the Sportsocracy's 2021 win projection video for the Minnesota Vikings. Be sure to click the like and subscribe button so you'll know every time we go live, including 9 a.m. every weekday for the Sportsocracy Morning Show. As always, we're brought to you by Wicked Weed Brewing, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different.
Skol.
I feel like this is how a lot of these videos are going. There's two that we were nice about, and
Earmuffs time.
Now there's going to be a lot of angry comments about. We might as well just do it.
The Bears.
The Bears. Welcome into the Wicked Weed Studios, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. I'm Jeremy Greene of ESPN Radio. This is Tommy Bradley, and this is the Chicago Bears 2021 win-loss projection video from the Sportsocracy. Tommy, this is a team that I have been constantly down on. I said they should have fired Matt Nagy after last season if you were planning on taking a young quarterback. What did they do? They kept Matt Nagy and took Justin Fields. What are your thoughts on Justin Fields in Chicago?
I think they gave up a lot of capital to get Justin Fields for a team that needs a lot of pieces. I would have much rather them go into the Sam Darnold sweepstakes and do something similar to the Panthers and only giving up a second, a fourth, and a sixth next year instead of all the capital they had to give up to get Justin Fields, who's minimum you think a year or two away from really.
I think he's a year away from being a year away.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, the talent's there, obviously, with Justin Fields. You can't deny if he reaches his ceiling, he's going to be a great quarterback. And with that defense, that you don't need to do a ton, but that's the problem with getting Justin Fields. He's a guy that he trusts his arm too much, as you've said many times over the past few months in evaluating him. I just don't know if he's the right fit in Chicago. Doesn't really seem like a Chicago kid to me. Dealing with those Chicago winters, outdoor snow games, just doesn't seem like the type of player to thrive in that situation. So I hope for Matt Nagy's sake and Ryan Pace's sake they're right, because their jobs are dependent on it.
Yep, and I don't think they'll be around to see it, because I think Matt Nagy is going to be fired right around that bye week right there. I look at the Bears. I think this is a team that views themselves in a way that doesn't fit what they are. Because let's be really honest. Week one, are they going to LA and beating the Rams?
Negative.
No. Are they going to Cleveland week 3 and beating Cleveland?
That's a negative.
Are they going to Las Vegas and beating the Raiders?
That's also a negative.
How about Green Bay, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Arizona Cardinals, Green Bay again? I'll give you Minnesota right there. Are you going to Seattle and winning?
I'll take negative for 500, Alex.
There you go. Yeah, you're not, because you're not better than these teams, because you don't score.
Yeah.
We've got Khalil Mack, we've got all these things. I got news for you. That's not going to matter against the LA Rams. It's just not. Matthew Stafford's going to carve you up. Baker Mayfield is going to carve you up. I think Derek Carr is going to carve you up.
I don't know if you've ever said Baker Mayfield's going to carve someone up.
I haven't, and it felt weird, and I didn't like it. And I don't want to do it again. I just look at the schedule. You got no breaks here, and here's the thing. All right, so I see no way Justin Fields is the starter week 1 of this team.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say I'm right and he's not. Where do you put him in?
I don't see a spot.
I don't either. That's the problem, is I think the schedule completely screwed you.
Yeah.
Because the bye week is the week that makes the most sense, and then his first game is Baltimore.
The Ravens.
If you start the season with him, his first game is at the Rams.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. I don't see it. I don't see any way that Matt Nagy's not fired at some point in the season, and you're completely starting over with a new offensive scheme with a guy that I never like seeing quarterbacks play in 2 offensive schemes in their first 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't see a way it's not going to happen for Justin Fields. This is not a comment on the talent. There were several I said if he went to Denver, I would like him.
Yeah.
And I understand that's a Vic Fangio thing. It's very similar to Matt Nagy. I think he could have saved Vic Fangio's job with those weapons. You're giving him Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham, and Allen Robinson. And David Montgomery, who had 3 games last year that showed a player I've never seen before.
Tough.
I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. I don't think I'm going to be, though. and I look at everything and the way it breaks down, and Tommy, we'll put your projection for the NFL season up on the screen first. You have the Bears at 4-13.
Yep.
Finishing 5 games behind the Vikings, who finished 5 games behind the Packers.
Honestly, that was another tough one for me to even get to the 4 wins for the Bears. I mean, there's not a ton of matchups I really like for them out there. I do think, like, some of the picks they made, getting Tevin Jenkins, a guy you were high on, Larry Borum from Missouri, they didn't pick a defensive player until late in the 6th round, their 3rd, 6th round pick. So with Khalil Herbert, Daz Newsome, they've got some pieces to build around Fields. I just don't think Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace will be there long enough to be able to see that through. So I think there's some pieces for the next coach and GM that steps in. I'm just really hoping that these guys don't, ruin Justin Fields' career on their way out, trying to throw him in there against the Rams in Week 1 or against the Ravens in Week 9, because he is not going to do well if his first NFL games he's dealing with some of these defenses and pass rushes and 3-4 defenses that he hasn't seen in college playing at Ohio State. You can't just spread out the Ravens and hope that nobody gets home on 50-something throws. So I like some of the things that they're building there in Chicago, and they're always going to have that defense as long as they have Khalil Mack, but it's not really going to matter until the next coach and GM get in there and start building some more talent. And unfortunately, they traded away some picks to get the talent they brought in this year.
That first rounder is going to hurt because I have the Bears at 5-12. And I think I'm being generous. I really do. I look at the schedule, and I just don't know who you're going to beat.
Yeah.
You're not better than these teams, and these teams can score. And, okay, so your defense is good. Tremendous. You get the ball, and what happens? You have the red pea shooter, Andy Dalton, slinging it to Allen Robinson. Okay. And then you got the other 2 starting receivers are Darnell Mooney and Anthony Miller, who you were trying to trade the week of the draft, and I heard it from multiple places.
Yeah.
I just look at this and go, you're doing the same thing with Justin Fields that I just watched the Jets do with Sam Darnold. He's coming into a coach that does not have a great stronghold in this organization. You're going to ask him to go through a system, a scheme change in very short order, and you didn't put the weapons around him that you need. Do I think he can ultimately be a good quarterback in the league? Yes. I think it will be for the next coach and for the next GM.
100%. And a lot of people that are going to chirp us about this and having the Bears so low are going to talk about that defense. I don't think it can be underestimated how much they lost in Kyle Fuller as a turnover ball hawk that's punching balls out, that's getting interceptions, getting his hands on the ball, covering the slot guy, covering the best receiver. I really think, they lost a couple pieces in there that people aren't talking about and think it's the same defense. It's not going to be the same defense.
I also don't love the fact that you're starting Tevin Jenkins at left tackle because I projected him as a right.
Yeah.
Do I think he can be that? Absolutely. I think you're going to have some growing pains. And I just look at the defense and go, cool, you're counting on Desmond Trufant on the other side. I believe there are several teams that will tell you that might be a fool's errand.
Yeah.
Speaking of a fool's errand, somebody in our last Bears video said something about Mitch Trubisky, and as somebody that's been a Carolina affiliate for many years now, I can't help but agree with it. The end of the Mitch Trubisky era signals the end of an error, and I agree. I do like some of the things that are going on, and I think in time the Bears will be fine. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
Can't trade up and sling twice and miss twice.
Nope. For Tommy Bradley, I'm Jeremy Greene of ESPN Radio. This has been the Chicago Bears 2021 NFL win-loss projection video. Be sure to click the like and subscribe button so you can see every time we go live, including 9 a.m. every weekday for the Sportsocracy Morning Show. As always, we're brought to you by Wicked Weed Brewing, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. Two bad teams in a row, 2 completely different takes.
Yeah.
I look at the Lions very differently than I do the Bears, and I'll tell you why right now with the Detroit Lions. Welcome into the Wicked Weed Studios, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. I almost said wickedweedstudios.com. That needs to be a thing. I'm Jeremy Greene of ESPN Radio. This is Tommy Bradley, and this is the Detroit Lions 2021 win-loss projection video from the Sportsocracy. I look at Detroit completely different than I do Chicago.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Chicago tried to jump in the line of a rebuild to build a contender.
Right.
I don't feel like the Lions did that. I think they know they're not going to be good.
There's grown-ups in the building now.
Yep. Brad Holmes, grown up in the building. Dan Campbell, a guy that I would run through a concrete wall for.
Motor City Dan.
And with Dan Campbell, a first-time NFL head coach, you bring in Aaron Glenn and Anthony Lynn to be driving forces. I think Aaron Glenn will one day be a head coach in this league. Anthony Lynn already has been.
And successful.
I feel like you've built this team well. You took Penny Sewell at 7. Absolutely one of the best picks of the draft. And all you had to do was take the best player on the board. You did exactly what the Dolphins and the Cincinnati Bengals did not do.
Yeah, exactly. And Dan Campbell is the perfect guy for the job, I think. If you watch his introductory press conference, he's what Detroit needs. He's that hard-nosed guy that's going to fit perfect in the Motor City. And they're building the team the right way. They're doing it in the trenches. I mean, getting Penny Sewell, everyone knows. Everyone's heard his name. Everyone knows that was one of the biggest steals of the draft, getting him at 7. He was number 1 on a lot of people's boards. He's a generational left tackle. That doesn't come around often, and that's a piece you can build around. But then to go with Levi Onwuzurike in the 2nd, and then Alan McNeil from NC State in the 3rd, they're really building up the trenches. I mean, they've got 2 really high-quality D tackles that I think a lot of people are really high on.
It almost led to Howie Roseman getting punched in the face by Terry Donahoe. Or Tom Donahoe.
Yeah.
To me Donahoe's in sports.
But, so Amon St. Brown, they got in the 4th. Jamar Jefferson, I liked him as a running back in the 7th. So they're building the team the right way. I think they're a few years away, like Jeremy always says, a year away from a year away. But they've got the grown-ups in the building. They're building it the right way in the trenches. It's going to be a team that Detroit can really get behind because they're going to bully some people in the trenches. That's where the emphasis is going to be for Dan Campbell. And I like their upside, but this year it was tough to find some wins for them.
In the words of Dan Campbell, they're going to run the ball and punch you in the mouth and bite kneecaps. Dan Campbell's a little bit of a crazy person, but he fits in Detroit quite nicely. Looking at the schedule, not a lot of great looking at this. Not a lot of great looking at this schedule.
Yeah.
Starting with San Francisco, Green Bay, Baltimore.
Oof.
Woof. That's less than ideal.
Yeah.
Looking at the schedule, I only see a handful of games that this team can win, but that's the intention. Yeah. Can they beat the Bengals? Absolutely. Can they beat the Eagles? Absolutely. And you get both those games at home. But then I look at the rest of the schedule and just go, maybe you could beat Atlanta? Maybe? Maybe?
It's possible.
Maybe you can sneak one from the Bears? I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see this being a great year for them. But I'm going to be honest with you. I think this is exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
They're giving Jared Goff a one-year shot here in Detroit. Mm-hmm. I think if he makes the best of it, the hate on Jared Goff has gotten stupid.
Yeah.
This is a guy that went from starting in a Super Bowl to just a few years later, people paying him out to be like Andy Dalton.
Number
and he's just
one
not.
pick talent.
A team gave up a haul to get him.
Yeah.
And he took him to a Super Bowl.
Right.
And I just look at it and go, could Jared Goff be the ultimate answer at quarterback for the Detroit Lions? Absolutely he could.
Yeah.
It wouldn't stun me at all. If you tell me that this team winds up with the number 3 pick in the draft next year, Sam Howell goes 1, Keaton Slovis goes 2, and they get Kayvon Thibodeau at 3,
their trenches would be insane.
Ooh, buddy. Ooh, I like that Lion.
Yeah.
And that would be tremendous. And with Brad Holmes, you've got the adult in the room that's doing high-level scouting things. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I like where the Lions are headed more than any bad team in the league. And I know that sounds like a shot. It's really not. I have always said on the Sportsocracy, weekdays, 9 a.m., right here in the Wicked Weed Studios. Be sure to click like and subscribe to see that every weekday.
Tune in.
I have always said there are 2 things I want you to be in the NFL. Either be really good or be fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And the Lions they're surfing that for one more year, and then I'll be honest with you, they might be the most improved team in the league next year.
I see them a lot like the Miami Dolphins the past couple of years. I mean, they're going to be a team that it doesn't show up in the win-loss record, but they're going to be in every game. No team wants to see them on the schedule. It's not some easy team you're going to roll over. Dan Campbell's going to have those guys motivated, ready to punch and fight and kick and claw and bite kneecaps. And so, yeah, I really like them, and I think, they are a year away from a year away, but they're in the perfect position because they have foundational building blocks They're still not good enough to have a ton of wins, so they're going to have high picks next year, which I hate teams that hang around in that mediocrity, go 6-11, in previous years, 6-10, 7-11, all
New England.
Yeah,
basically where New England is.
So all these teams that are just going to hover around 500 every year and never have a high pick. I love a team that is building in these early stages, going to take it year after year with good coaches, good grown-ups in the building, and I like them in a couple years to be competing for that division crown.
Looking at your projection for the 21 season, you have them at 2-15, which would give them the number 3 pick in the draft behind the Houston Texans and the Philadelphia Eagles. Looking at mine, I have them also at 2-15, but I would have them with the number. I would actually also have them with the number 3 pick in the draft behind the Texans and the Bengals. Both ways that you either end up with a shot at a quarterback like Sam Howell or Keaton Slovis or Tyler Shuck or whoever makes you feel all hunky-dunky, or Jared Goff's the guy and you can roll with a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau or Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU.
Yeah.
I mean, which they're all guys to love.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Brad Holmes is going to take the best player on the board.
You can't
He's
miss
gonna
in the
build
top 5 next year.
Correct. I mean, he's going to build your team the way that you want it to build. Want it to be built. The one thing I would say to Detroit Lion fans, this year's not going to be great, but you're building to something. For Tommy Bradley, I'm Jeremy Greene of ESPN Radio. This has been the Sportsocracy's 2021 win-loss projections for the Detroit Lions. Be sure to click like and subscribe so you'll know every time we go live, including weekdays right here in the Wicked Weed studios for the Sportsocracy Morning Show. As always, we're brought to you by Wicked Weed, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. Well, that's a tale of 4 teams, 2 apiece, 2 on each side of the ledger.
I see a consistent theme building here in the NFC.
Absolutely. Yeah. And here's going to be the consistent theme after this year. It's going to be wide open because when Aaron Rodgers is no longer in Green Bay, it's a brawl for all. And I look at all 3 teams below them and go, there's a path to you being the team that takes this division over. But if I had to pick one, the Detroit Lions. God, I never thought I'd say that.
I like the way they're going.
For Tommy Bradley, I'm Jeremy Greene. This has been the Sportsocracy's 2021 win-loss projections for the NFC North. Be sure to click the like and subscribe button so you'll know every time we go live, including 9 a.m. every weekday morning for the Sportsocracy Morning Show. As always, we're brought to you by Wicked Weed Brewing, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different.